market on close. Nike will be in focus next week as it will report earnings for its fiscal first quarter. Goldman Sachs kept its buy rating and a $95 price target on shares. They noted it expects fundamentals to continue to sequentially improve and continue to see emerging recovery in both sport and strategic priorities such as performance running and women's apparel. With all of that said, it is time for Options Corner now. Rick Ducat is joining us here in studio, our lead market technician, to break down some of the details and talk more things Nike as we look at them ahead of their earnings. So as we take a look at Nike sort of as it's performing more broadly against the market and the sector, I can see how it looks, but, walk us through some of your observations here, Rick.
Yeah, this is a 5-year weekly chart. Nike seriously underperforming, down about 45% during that period, while the broader market and as well as its own consumer discretionary sector have enjoyed much larger gains here. So a difficult time to be sure for this particular company. But if you were to look at it a different way, year to date, Nike's doing the best out of the apparel companies here. Nike, On, Holdings, Under Armour, Deckers, and Lulu. Lulu down over 52% this year, year to date here. So really a difficult situation for this apparel sector, one that could have serious impacts from the tariff and trade war type situations here. But the specific Nike news that I saw today, they launched a collaboration with Kim Kardashian's Skims activewear brand. They found possibly the worst person here to talk about pop culture and whatever. But, Skims, I was quite intrigued to find it's estimated to be worth about $4 billion now. So that's some pretty serious win for Nike here, like an interesting development here, part of their broader turnaround strategy.
And we've seen how these celebrity brand integrations have performed really well for other companies, not in the sports segment, but in the retail segment, with American Eagle and Beyonce with Levi's. And so they've done well. That won't be factored into this quarter's earnings, but could be reflected, in what we get later in the fall from Nike. But as far as what their individual chart is showing you as we head into their earnings, what are some of the technicals shaping up to look like? Yeah,
so we can see that broadly speaking, Nike has been trending downward here during the year. You can see our longer term blue trend line sloping downward there. But then after we had our last earnings event here, you can see that price was for a while trending upward, but it got stuck at that 80 level, our pink line here, a notable resistance point that was repeatedly tested, ultimately failed, now forming this falling wedge type shape here with our white lines, typically regarded as a more bullish pattern, but it's not looking too great right at this moment. Our green line here, 69, that was a old low point and a high point subsequently. That's about where we are right now here. So a rather precarious situation as we head into this weekend here. If we were to look at our RSI study, we can see that we had our price breakdown below our trend line. Around the same time, RSI also broke down, so some confirmation there. Notice as well, we have a confluence of all our moving averages right up here near 72 to 74 or so. So that is a notable upside area to watch as well. Could be a resistance point. RSI moving lower in the oversold area below that 30 threshold. A sign of weakness in trending markets is typically how that's perceived. Not exactly what you'd want to see heading into earnings if you're bullish.
And as for bullish or bearish, what has the analyst commentary been on Nike as we head into their earnings on Tuesday?
Yeah, this week we saw a couple of price target raises. Morgan Stanley 70 to 64, Telsey Advisory 70 from 64, excuse me. Both maintaining equal weight or market perform here. Raymond James had quite a lukewarm note I thought today though. They said they would not be surprised to see low single-digit sales declines versus the mid-single-digit declines that were forecast. So it kind of said things were improving, but with a heavy caveat that there's big headwinds like rising costs from the tariff situations and softer demand from China as well, kind of looming over for this company.
Yeah, and that's been something we've seen just broadly across the retail sector, is this tariff impact on all of these companies. But since it's options corners, let's talk about the options activity on Nike. What's volume like, and are we favoring calls to puts? How's the sizzle?
About 114,000 contracts changed hands today, 60-40 in favor of calls versus puts. The sizzle somewhat elevated, 1.7, so that's versus the 5-day moving average of volume. So we can see here now, if we were to look at our volume profile study for the stock here, we can see that we have slipped below the heavy trading area. The next major node is down here near 62. So 74 is to the upside, 62 to the downside. Now consider, too, our expected move for October 17th. Well, 62, 61 lines up pretty closely with the lower end. That's about where we had our volume node. And then if you look to the upside, if we were to take out a resistance confluence, we are once again getting into the heavy volume area up there near 76. So those could be some boundaries to watch for this monthly expiration here. And we can see for now the highest calls and puts levels for that expiration, 95 on the call side, 67.5 on the put side. That's the highest open interest areas.
All right, 69.10 where Nike is trading right now. I want to thank Rick Ducat for being with us to talk all things Nike ahead of their earnings on Tuesday.